All right. I'm so excited to be making an announcement today, which is that I'm sitting here with Matthew Cooke here in Boulder, Colorado. And Matthew is going to be joining the Redbeard team, offering Somatic Experiencing, both as an online practitioner and in-person work for those folks here in Boulder. And I've gotten to know Matthew over the last year or so, and he's a wonderful guy and a wonderfully sensitive somatic practitioner. I'm very excited to have you on the team. So Matthew, just share a little bit about, just what brought you into somatic work.
Well, out of university, I started working in tech, and that was a beautiful time in my life as everyone, 23 years or 20, 21, 22, worked at a tech company. We were building the Netflix for optimal living, which is such a cool idea.
It is a cool idea. What's the name of the company?
It was called Entheos.
Okay.
So Theos, God, theology, the God within. And I was head of content curation. And so I got to work with 200 of the world thought leaders and everything from like neuroscience to productivity to conscious business, conscious parenting, mindfulness and spirituality, health and fitness, like kind of across the board.
Yeah.
It was kind of the coolest job on the planet because I got paid to learn.
How long were you there?
I ended up working with them for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, though, we were working 70-hour work weeks. I worked 70-hour work weeks. I'll say that. And everyone else worked really hard too. But in doing that, unfortunately, at 24 years old, I kept getting these like dizzy, flu-like symptoms. It was like virtually every 2 weeks on Friday afternoon. And I would go home sick. And then Sunday afternoon would roll around and I would magically feel better. And then I would go work again, go crush it, go rock the week and things like that. We had the Thank God It's Monday was one of our things. Work cultures. And so at 24 years old, I was like, we were like practically like snorting Adderall. I mean, it was like, we were like super like high intensity about it because we were just so passionate about the work at the time. And so I eventually just fully burnt out after about 6 months of that, like back and forth. I kept getting sick every couple of weeks.
Yep.
And so I wanted to understand like why my body and mind were at war with one another, why they weren't working together.
Got it.
So basically since then, however math works, 12, 13, 14 years, something like that, I've gotten myself like basically a PhD in trauma healing and burnout recovery, just of my own personal experience, reading like hundreds of articles, academic journals, studies, and getting like real trained up in this stuff. I realized it was in yoga classes and on really long walks that I felt like I got my best ideas. That was actually like the first like thing, like the first click. It was like, oh, I'm getting like good, like my thinking is more clear. And that's when I felt sort of most connected to myself while having, I have less anxiety. I feel more confident and less overwhelmed. So fast forward to 2021, this is just thinking from like a bio perspective. Fast forward to 2021, I was working with about 8 senior leaders at a large tech company in Santa Monica. And one of the clients was going through a session, and he's sort of like, when some people come out of the body-based breakthrough process, they come out like a bear coming out of hibernation. It's going, oh gosh, okay. They're sort of like orienting back to their environment. And one guy was like, where did you learn this? And I was like, I don't know. This is kind of something I Frankenstein together over a period of time here now. It's been over a decade at that time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've just done this with 1,000+ leaders across different organizations and with people one-on-one.
Right.
And he looked at me, Alex, and this is actually the most shocking thing at the time, is he had like disgust in his face. And he was like, that's a damn shame.
Huh.
And I was like, okay, what?
Yeah. No, I thought I knew where this might be going, but I don't. Keep going.
He goes, that's a damn shame. And pause. And I think he was just trying to be dramatic. And he goes, there should be an army of people teaching this stuff with you guys because we need this. And there's only one of you.
Got it.
And so I think he was being a little tongue in cheek. But at first I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But that was all I needed to hear. But I think what I feel more inspired about, and I think even the spirit of this conversation in some ways, is that I just can't stop learning about the body. and about our biology and like how it responds to the environment and the people around it. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
We're here for Somatic Experiencing. Let's talk about it. We start with orientation.
Yep.
And we end with orientation. So basically my ability to sort of experience the environment around me, notice even what's kind of pleasant to look at in the environment, what, my ears take in, all of these things, but so that I can spend some time on the outside with the idea that the environment there aren't any immediate threats.
Right.
And then it allows me to go so much deeper inside. So then we do a couple breaths, and these are all very cooling breaths. Most people that come in to do this work with me are highly, we'd call hyper aroused. So they're just more anxious as I am. So that's probably why I'm attracting those folks. And so we're using a gentle, soothing, settling kind of breath. Like a 4-4 breath or a 4-8 or like a box breath, although sometimes holding the breath for some folks can even create stuff. So just tracking the breath a little bit. And then we come up with a headline. It's just like, what's the thing today? The thing I want to look at. And sometimes it's as simple as just literally, what should I do today? What's the plan? What do we want to do today? And sometimes it's what's the next step in my career? Or how do I get my health back on track? Or how do I repair with my partner? Because we just got into a fight last night or something, And so that's what I kind of come in with. That's my headline. And that's why we call it a headline, because it's not like a paragraph in a newspaper. It's just what's the headline. Yep. And then do another breath or something. And then we'll come up with the desired experience. The desired experience. So if this is currently in some level, I feel some confusion or unclarity, or I'd like to unpack this headline a little bit more. In an ideal world, assuming that everything worked out perfectly, what would I be experiencing? Joy, clarity, peace, trust, power, connection. Whatever those. Yeah. And the cool part is it's always associated with whatever the headline is. So it's always a little different, and that's what makes it kind of fun. And then we move and we breathe, and there's some cool stuff in there throughout the process. But as we're moving and breathing, what happens is, and you and I could totally geek out on this forever, is this concept of coupling dynamics. There's these disparate parts of the brain where memories and thoughts, and even in the body, that things are stored. Sometimes just by giving them some space to sort of bake, suddenly these thoughts just like boop, they just click. And so it's kind of like getting people talk about like shower thoughts or eureka thoughts. Yeah. And it's really fun, Alex, because, and I don't know if you find this as a practitioner, but sometimes people just think I'm like a wizard. And I'm like, actually, that's just your biology doing that. I'll take 5% credit, but like mostly that's just your body doing a cool thing that it's made to do.
Yeah.
And so it's really beautiful. And then at the very end, we do a process where we call deep rest, which is just incredibly integrative for the brain, especially the default mode network of the brain. And then we come out of that and we come up with an inspired action.
Well, thanks so much for sharing. And very excited to have you working with folks here at Redbeard.
Thanks, Alex. Really excited to be here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Great.